Hello, Algebra 2. So this Friday, February 26th, is the end of triad number 4. No assignments in the Aries gradebook will be accepted for credit after this Friday. So today we're going to do assignment number 18. It's going to be a review for your polynomial test on this Thursday and Friday. So please take out a piece of paper. If you're in period 3, your test is on Thursday. If you're in period 4, your test is on Friday. And then make sure tonight that you make up any missing assignments. Okay, so have a piece of paper out for assignment number 18. Alrighty. Okay, so we're going to review the problems that we've been going over. And so part of this is knowing how to read your math. So let me just grab a different color here. So for this particular problem, hold on, my pen's not working. What's going on here? Hold on. There we go. So for this particular problem, it says to find f of x plus g of x. So we are going to add the two functions, and we're going to do that by combining like terms. And when we do that, we only add the numbers or subtract the numbers in the front. We do not change the exponents. So since this is an add problem, it's pretty easy. Everything seems to be lined up for you. So negative 4x cubed minus 5x cubed. If we add those together, it's negative 9x cubed. Do not change the exponent when you add and subtract. And then the next one is 5x squared plus 7x squared. So that would be 12x squared. The next one is just 2x all by itself, so we bring that down. And then the last one is negative 2 minus 6 more would be negative 8. And that's our final answer. That's all you have to do for adding two functions together. Let's do another one. You can hit pause if you need a minute. Okay, so this problem, read the directions. It says to subtract. So go ahead and write those two functions down, and we're going to subtract. Oops, sorry. Hold on. There you go. So when we subtract, we change all the signs on the back function. So up here, since it says f of x minus g of x, this is the back function. So this is the one that we're going to change all the signs. Okay, so here's the g of x function. So it says negative 5x cubed. I'm going to change it to positive 5x cubed. It says positive 7x squared, so I'm going to change it to negative 7x squared. It says negative 2, so I'm going to change it to positive 2. So that's what you need to do when you're doing subtraction. They formally call that add the opposite. So I'm going to wave this out so we don't see it in our vision. And now we just proceed like we did before. We just combine like terms after you changed the signs on that back function, okay? So negative 4x cubes, positive 5x cubes leaves just 1x cubed. Next one, 5x squared minus 7x squared is negative 2x squared. There's just a 2x right here, so I bring it down. And then we have positive 2 and negative 6. That makes negative 4. And that's our final answer. Now, as you're advancing in your math, you should really write it like this because we don't write that hidden 1 in the front of that x cubed. Okay. Well, let's move on. So the next one, read the directions. This one says to multiply. So when we multiply, we're going to use the box method. So if you can write down those two problems, you can hit pause if you need to. So we have 2 pieces here and 3 pieces here. So here's our 2 pieces. And then we're going to drop our vertical lines to make our 3 pieces. So that's a 2 by 3 box. I'm going to write this one on the side, so 2x and positive 3. And I'm going to write this along the top, 6x squared, positive 5x, negative 2. Okay, and then just for a quick review here, let's see if I can get my pen to work. My mouse doesn't want to work today very well. Okay, so remember you're going to take this item and multiply it up to the 6x squared, up to the 5x, up to the negative 2. And after you're done with that, you're going to take the 3 up to the 6x squared, up to the 5x, and up to the negative 2. So we are going to be multiplying first. There we go. And when we multiply, we do change. Let me grab a pen here. So when you multiply, that's the first step. You do change the exponents. You do that when you're multiplying. Okay, so 2x times 6x squared is 12. X times x squared is x cubed. See how I changed the exponent up to x to the third? Okay, next one, 2x times 5x. 2 times 5 is positive 10. X times x is x squared. And then 2x times negative 2 is just negative 4 with the x. Then I'm just going to take the 3 and multiply it across the top. So 3 times 6 is positive 18x squared. 3 times 5x is just positive 15x. And 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. So add or subtract like terms is your second step. And on this one, do not change the exponents. Okay, you only do that when you multiply. Okay, so we're going to get down to our final answer now. This top left box is always your first part, so 12x to the third. The bottom right corner is always your back part of your answer, and now we'll fill in the middle, okay? So 18x squareds go with 10x squareds. Only do the number, so 18x squareds plus 10x squareds is 28x squareds. Do not change the exponent, just the numbers in front. The next one is 15x's minus 4x's. That would be 11x's, and we're done. That's our final answer. That's when we have a direction up at the beginning to multiply because it has this dot, all right? F of x times g of x. You can hit pause if you need a minute. Okay, so this one for the review, you do not need to copy down the graph if you don't want to. So we have 2 problems, one at a time. So first we're going to find f of 3. And remember, we're given the x, so the x is 3. Our answer is how much is y, right? F of x, f of 3 means that the x's were 3, and we just want to know how much y is. So this is the x-axis, right? So we go over to where 3 is, and we're going to look down to the graph. So there it is. There's the dot, and then I'm going to look over to the y, and the answer is this number. So the first answer is -1. Another way to say that is look down to the graph. What is the point right there? Well, it's over 3 down 1, over 3 down 1. So I'm looking for the y, so it's 3 comma -1. So we're just making sure we know how to read our math. So how do we read f of 7? I'm going to erase this. So normally it's f of x, so we know the x's were 7. Our answer will be the y. So we go over to 7 this way. Here we are at 7, and we're already on the graph. So that's 0. That dot would be 7 comma 0. Don't go up or down. It's just 7, 0. Okay, those are easy. You can hit pause if you need a minute. Okay, so this was composition of functions. Take a minute to write this down. You can hit pause. Oops, sorry. I'm just rewriting the problem over here. Okay, so this is a two-part problem. So we're going to do this first. After we do that, we're going to do the outside, f of something. So whatever we get here first, we're going to put down into our f parentheses. So let's do this first. Okay, let me switch to blue. So this says to find g of 1. So I need to use the g function. So I'm going to be using 5x minus 2. So I'm going to write it down. And wherever I see an x, I'm going to plug in a 1 and do the math. 5 times 1 minus 2. 5 minus 2 equals 3. So that answer, that first answer, goes into the parentheses. What was it, 3? And now I have to do the next part of the problem. This is the second, and this will be the final answer. So this time I need to use the f function because it says f of 3. So I have to go up and use the f function. So I'm going to write down 2x squared, right up here, right, minus 3. Hold on just a minute. 2x squared minus 3. And I'm going to plug in that 3 right there and plug it in. Do the math. So 2 times 3 squared minus 3. All right, so I plugged in a 3. Now don't do 2 times 3 is 6. Do the exponent first. So bring down 2 times 3 squared would be 9. 2 times 9 minus 3. So that's 18 minus 3. And 18 minus 3 equals 15. So our final answer is equal to 15. So that's composition of functions. Do the inside, the blue part first. Right here. We used the g function and plugged in a 1. We got some answer of 3. We put that here, and then we plugged it into the f function, did the math, and ended up with 15, and that is the final answer. Okay? So we just found f of g of 1. That's how you would say that. Okay, now this is the graphical way to find f of g of 1. Let's see here. I want the pen. Okay, so we're going to find the inside first. So g of 1 says to go to the g graph. So make sure that you're on the right graph and go to where 1 is. And remember, that's where the x is 1. So I'm going to go over here to where 1 is, right here, and I'm going to look, I'm going to look down to the graph. Let me find a different, well, I guess that's the right color. There's the dot at 1, so that answer is -1. So I look over to the y part. So where I go, x is 1, then I go over to the y, and I see it's worth -1. So I have my first part of my answer is at 1 comma -1, if you want to think about it that way. Now I have to do the second part. Let me grab a different color here. So I had f of g of 1. We found this answer. Bring this down. Now we're going to find the outside. And remember what this answer was for g of 1. We got -1. So now we have to go to the f graph at -1. So that's this graph. I go over to -1. I look down. Whoops. I look down to the graph. There's the dot. Look over, and it's at where y is -2. So that's my final answer. -2, because that's the dot -1 comma -2. So f of g of 1 is equal to -2. That's our final answer. You can think of it as a second y, right? It's the second y value. Okay. All right, so let me go back to the beginning. So this was assignment number 18. I need you to go ahead and upload your paper up to the digital workbook, and then make sure that you make up any missing assignments because the triad is closing this week. All right, thank you guys. Upload your paper to the digital workbook.